Welcome back to Game Day Recap. We want to talk about one of the more competitive divisions in the NFL. The NFC West has just been such fun to watch, and two of the top teams in that division continuing to put on the fireworks. Here's a look at the NFC playoff picture. The Rams taking over that top spot with a big win over the Cardinals today. Matthew Stafford was electric in the 45-17 win. But then the Seahawks also get it done as they beat the Falcons today, 37-9. So take a look here at how the rest of the season will finish for these two teams. And we've been talking about this, since like week 5 of these two teams being on a collision course, and they've been so fun. The Rams did beat the Seahawks earlier this season, but they will face off with one another here in 2 weeks. So we will see how that playoff picture shifts in just a couple weeks. So let's talk about the bounce back, fellas, in LA. We had some questions about Matthew Stafford and that group after they lost to the Panthers. No questions today. 45-17. Pete, what was working so well for the Rams today?
Matt Stafford bounced back. I mean, look, bottom line was he didn't play well last week against the Panthers, and he got right back into it. He had a 7-on-7 practice today, essentially, against that Cardinals defense. I mean, they're so banged up on defense, it was terrible. He did whatever he wanted to. But that's a good sign. I mean, when your team is back out on the road again after a loss, sometimes it can be tough to get them back refocused again. Clearly, Matt Stafford's a pro. He knows what to do. And Puka Nacua is the human suction cup. If the ball gets anywhere near him, right in his hands. I mean, that's what he does.
What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, we're going to quickly transition from that
when you put a suction cup on a thing, you
just,
don't know what you're talking about.
Just stop. 530 yards of total offense today. They had 281 yards passing, 249 yards rushing today. I think
they didn't play anybody.
They play who's on the schedule, Pete, and they dominated and did what they were supposed to do. And again, you got a great production out of the backfield. Blake Corum had 12 carries, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then the starter, Kyron Williams, he chipped in with 84 yards and a touchdown. So you got this offense got back to where we know them to be and being able to put up points and score points in bunches. And like you said, Matthew Stafford got back on track. And Puka Nacua, you put the ball in his area, he's going to go get it. And he's established himself. As much as Devontae Adams has built up this rapport with Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua is the #1 guy. They treat him as such. And Devontae's role has now become the red zone threat when they get him the ball. So if they keep playing like this, they're going to continue to be not only the NFC West leader and potential champion, they'll be the #1 team in the NFC.
And I love the way, Sean McVay uses Puka as well. He's so versatile in their offense in general, whether it's inserting him in the run game to go and do the dirty work, whether it's a screen game on a tough 3rd and 5, and he has to go get a hard first down, 50-50 balls. Like, he's really a do-it-all guy, runs all the routes, on that offense. And then, Stafford ties Kurt Warner most consecutive games with 2+ passing touchdowns with 7. He's just playing at a very, very high level. And I think when you look at this offense, you look at how this team is moving right now, it's just a credit to the pairing of really Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, because when they go out there and play offense, I mean, it almost looks like Staff can just go out there and call the plays. Like, he just knows it like the back of his hand. He's just so comfortable operating pre-snap.
It was one of the touchdowns, and I can't remember which one it was, but Matt Stafford came off. And you could just, what you were speaking about, the rapport he has with Sean McVay, he's running off smiling after he threw a touchdown, and he's motioning to Sean like, yeah, I should have got it over here, but that's on me. But, but that's the rapport that they have in terms of, I know where you want me to go with the football. I know what I should be doing, but I had to do this to kind of get away with it. But again, that speaks to the level of trust that those two have amongst each other.
Why is it this year, though, that we're seeing that connection between Stafford and McVay? Because they've been working together for at least a few seasons now. I know they went to the Super Bowl. Well, why, Pete, is this year different in L.A.?
Well, they just seem like they're more comfortable with the offense. And the offense has evolved. Remember, there were times where they did things a lot different. They're doing a lot more 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends than they normally have in the past. And I think Stafford has taken to it. Look, when that offense is cooking, it's fun to watch. And you have a hard time stopping it because, like you said, they can run the ball. And everything they do is predicated on the run game. And then when he gets into a rhythm, that ball ball is on top of the receivers, and it's right there all the time. He's so accurate with the football. And last week he wasn't, and it just didn't look like him last week.
Haley, I think the big difference is the consistency at the wide receiver position. You have guys that are in the lineup, but not only do you have guys that are available and healthy, but you have guys that the way they play the game, they're going to be where they're supposed to be. They're going to catch the ball at a high rate. And I think Matthew Stafford, just throughout his Rams tenure, hasn't quite had that on a year-to-year basis. And I think this year, having a Puka Nacua, having a Devontae Adams, and then we talked about the tight ends and the way they've been able to use them in the 12 personnel looks, the 13 personnel looks. It's just been consistent, and he's had the same group of guys that he's been able to throw to week in and week out.
And the year Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown was the year they went to this. I think it's the same year they went to the Super Bowl and won it. So, I mean, when he has good receiver play, he's going to put up big numbers.
I'll take your Puka Nacua and your Devontae Adams, and I'll challenge you with maybe a Jackson Smith and Jigba and a Rashid Shaheed, because if we go right underneath them in that race, you've got Seattle and Sam Darnold figuring it out. And I know on this show specifically, we've talked about the run game and how it's going to get going in Seattle. Now you're starting to see the run game get going too, Jason. And so when you look at Seattle, and I know we have that head-to-head, and I know we'll have another one coming up, but how excited do you get about the potential of what the Seahawks can do?
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been waiting to see this whole year, is like, what does this offense look like on full tilt? Because we've seen Darnold and JSN really consistently all year tear things up, but in the beginning of the year / middle of the year, Charbonnet and Walker, it's just taking some time for them to get going. We felt like the Seahawks offensive line was not as physical as they could be playing, and I feel like they're playing inspired right now. Now you're seeing Charbonnet, you're seeing Kenneth Walker, like you're seeing these guys and the whole offense now be on full tilt and now hit on all cylinders. This is a very, very scary football team to me. I mean, genuinely. I mean, we saw Sam Darnold. Everybody was like, the year he had in Minnesota before he left. Oh, Minnesota didn't keep him there for a reason. Like, it was just Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback whisperer. Well, now he's in Seattle doing the same damn thing. So what are they going to say now? I think Seattle's a really, really good team.
They're waiting for big games and big moments. That's what they're waiting for. We'll see what he does against the Rams. Look, the schedule is tougher for Seattle than it is for the Rams. If I had to pick one of the two teams to win the division, I would pick the Rams right now. I think they're the better team, but I also think that their schedule is more favorable. Although getting the Colts without Daniel Jones is a big plus for Seattle.
Yeah,
no,
and
it's
that's
definitely
what's coming
a big
up
plus.
next.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at it here, you have the Colts that, especially the first game without Daniel Jones, what is that going to look like? They're going to be trying to find their new identity. So we feel like Seattle should be and will be favored there. And then you have the Rams, which we know what that's going to be. And then we talked about this Carolina Panthers team and which version of this team are you going to get. And I expect that game to be tough. But then to close out the season, a Week 18 game with the San Francisco 49ers, and you can go back and look at the history of that matchup, and it always comes down to Week 18 with some huge playoff implications. And if we're saying that the Rams are going to win this division and either be the 1 seed or let's just say the 1 or the 2 seed, then what they could be playing for in Week 18 is who's going to be the 5th and the 7th seed out of the 49ers and the Seahawks. And I think that game is going to really matter. But I think what it comes down to in terms of who's going to win this division, I agree with Pete. I think the Rams will win this division, and I think it all boils down to which quarterback do you trust more in clutch moments.
Yep.
And I think you're going to trust Matthew Stafford because we've seen him consistently come through in those moments, and we're still waiting on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold had a great regular season last year, but we saw when it came down to those clutch moments in the playoffs, that's when everyone said, oh, he reverted to the Sam Darnold we thought he was, right? Which I think kind of also affected his contract in terms of teams that were interested in him, signing him to a long-term deal. And so now he gets the opportunity because you're going to have 4 straight weeks of gotta-have-it games, and you get to have 4 weeks to quiet that noise down. But if it comes down to who do I trust more, Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold, I'm going to roll with Matthew Stafford.
It is going to be exciting. In 2 weeks' time, we will see those two go head-to-head. And like Rand and all of you have said, this division always comes down to that Week 18 matchup. It is going to get good. All right, time for another break here on Game Day Recap. Shedeur Sanders doing everything he can to pick up another win. Unfortunately, it just wasn't in the cards. The Titans picking up their second win of the season. What went wrong, and is the coach on the hot seat? We'll discuss it next.